Today I'm going to show you how to make a hardcover for your journal from scratch. So let's get started.
For the supplies, you're going to need chipboard, very heavy book board. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, I believe. I got like a medium weight on Amazon. Or you could use a cereal box, but you're going to need to glue together about 4 different sheets to make up for that thickness. You'll need 4 sheets of paper, 2 for the outside and 2 for the inside. And I'm using 8.5 by 11-inch paper. You'll need 2 12 by 12s as well. You'll need something to reinforce the hinges, and I'm using Tyvek. You'll need your ruler and your craft knife, and these are the glues that I'm using. So the first thing you'll need to do is cut out your pieces of chipboard. Try to be as accurate as you possibly can. Mine's going to be 5.5 by 8 inches. The spine will be 1.25 inches wide by 8, and then you'll need to cut out a little tiny strip that's about 1/4 of an inch wide by 8 inches. That's going to be your spacer to save room for your hinge. And then once you've got those cut out, you're going to make sure that you have the pattern going in the same direction, and I usually mark it there to make sure that I remember where it's at. I'm going to draw a line about 3/8 of an inch wide right down the edge there, so that when I glue the 2 sheets together, they are going to be even. In case there is a design, you definitely want things to be straight. So I'm just going to glue those 2 sheets together, make sure everything matches. Now I found the middle of my paper, and I found the middle of my spine. And these are the 2 things, these 2 places you're going to line up together. You will glue the spine in first, and it's going to be essentially in the middle of your paper so that you'll have enough left over on each side when you start putting your cover in. And eye up the distance between the top and bottom to get them pretty close. Then you'll put in your spacer, and you'll put in the back cover, or it doesn't matter which one, but the back one I guess made the most sense to me. And we're going to glue all the way around it. Now it's not essential you get to the very, very, very edge, because we're going to be wrapping paper around this, and the edge will get glued with paper eventually again. But make sure you line up the top and bottom so that it matches with the spine all the way across. And we'll do the other side. Now if you're gluing together food packages to make up for this chipboard, I would glue together a larger size than I needed, and then cut all the pieces together with the craft knife at the same time. Now that once you've got the front and back glued in, we are going to now work on the edges. And I'm going to be, we're going to be putting in the reinforcement. So you could use masking tape, you could use cloth, whatever is your favorite reinforcement material. I'm using Tyvek here, and I'm gluing right inside that hinge. And you're going to need a bone folder, which is, I forgot to mention that in the beginning. And the bone folder is going to get right down inside that groove. Now this might be a little trickier with tape. It's probably not essential to get down there if you really can't do it with your tape, but I like to just make sure everything's glued down. And then we will glue the other side. I like using Fabri-Tac and Art Glitter glue because your paper doesn't wrinkle with it. But you, of course, will use your favorite glue to put it down. I would not use a glue stick. That would be one thing I would not use. It's not going to hold well for you. And we make sure that the inside hinge is all connected. Now I'm going to make sure that all the way around I have the same amount of paper showing. So my ruler is about 1 3/8 wide, and I put it all the way around and I cut the paper off. Now we're going to draw a line that is 1/8 of an inch approximately from the very tippy corner there. And when you draw that line, you want your angle, you want to see a triangle pretty squared up there, so your angle is pretty much the same. And we will draw that on all 4 corners. Now when we go to cut it, we're not going to cut on the line, but we're going to cut a little bit to the outside of the line, leaving about maybe 1/4 of an inch there. You can also draw that. It might be easier for you if you pre-draw them, but whichever way is best. All right. Now we're going to gently fold down the paper and work it around that edge and get everything started in the right direction here. All 4 sides. Smooth it out. And now when I go to glue the sides down, I start with the 2 longest pieces first. But before we do that, we are going to have to fold in the corners. So I take one side down, run my bone folder right, or you could run your finger, right on that edge, and you can just see how I'm turning it down. I get it started there with a bone folder, and then I'm just turning that inside just a little bit, all the way around. And this way, when you fold your paper in, the corner will be covered as well. So we'll start with the 2 longest sides first to glue in. Put a bead of glue right there on top of that edge so that that edge will be well covered. I am going to put a little glitter glue at the very edges only because I don't like the fabric tack to seep out. You don't have to do this, of course. And I should have put a crease in the hinge. I didn't do that here, but I will do it on this one. I guess I just may as well use all glitter glue. I'm doing all these steps so that you can see them, even though I know it takes up a little time here. And smooth it down and then get into those creases there. And I did it down here. Kind of bend your book up a little bit as you put your crease in. And now we're going to do the sides. And you'll make sure your paper is folded down there, not popping up. And once you have it down, then I usually pinch really hard for a little while those very tippy corners so that they stay down. And so now you have a nice mitered corner. If you did not cut it off, those triangles off, then it would be just way too bulky there. All right, so that looks really nice. Now, at this point, if you want to have a ribbon closure, now's the time to glue that ribbon in before you put in the lining paper. I am not going to do that on this one. I'm going to do a different kind of closure. Here is the seam where we put the two pieces of paper together, and there's different ways to cover them. One way is to take a contrasting paper. This is 5 inches wide, and of course there's enough overlap on the height of it. I found the middle of the paper in the middle of the spine. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue just on the spine. I'm going to match up my lines and then make sure that these dry well. And once they're dried well, then you can glue up the two sides. And then of course you'll need to put down your flaps, and you're going to do them just like you did the other paper. So this is one way to cover up the spine. And another way that I'm going to be doing is I've got some vintage lace, and I am going to put down some lace on the spine. You could use cloth. I'm sure you can maybe even think of more ways to work on the spine there. Now we're going to be putting the lining paper in, and I glued those two sheets of paper just like I did the front. And making sure that that seam is right on the spine. And I'm going to put in a pretty small border. You can put in whatever size border you would like, but I'm making mine pretty small. And just marking it, and then I will be cutting those pieces off. I'm inked all the way around them. If you want to distress, now's the time to do that. Now we're going to glue just the spine by itself at first. And I'm trying not to get too close to the edge so my fabric tack won't seep out on me. And I'm going to put just a line of glue at the two edges there. Carefully put your liner paper on. This is where fabric tack is handy because it does give you just a couple of seconds to readjust if you need to. And then once you like where it sits. Now this is something I did here is I did not let this set and dry. That would probably be a really good idea to do. I just kind of went on and kept going. By letting it dry, you can really assure that it's not going to move around for you. And then I'm going to put glue on most of the area where the paper is going to fall, but not all the way to the very edge, because I'm going to go along the real tip. Oh, and then if it's too gunky, your glue goes on too thick, you can always smear it down. I'm going to put a bead of glue right on the very edge because that is a very important place for it to be sealed and glued down. And of course we're going to go into the hinge first and then work our way out slowly. I know it seems fast here, but work your cover up a little bit, just kind of encouraging that crease to do its thing and bend. And then let this dry for 5 minutes or so. Now once you've gotten both sides glued in and creased, I usually set mine up like so and let that dry for a while.
So there you have it, your hardcover. And so in the following weeks, I will be building on this and decorating it and filling it with paper, and I will show you how I'm going to sew in a hidden spine for the signatures. So I hope you will subscribe and follow along. Talk to you later. Bye.